Hey everybody, welcome to this little video. Now I just wanted to record this just kind of as I'm going through a bit of a stage myself with my various businesses and interests, and hopefully I can provide some insight for you to help you kind of realize where things are at with you. Okay, now obviously depending on what stage you're at on your e-commerce journey, your business journey, we're always looking forwards, right? We're always looking to tomorrow. We're kind of rarely looking beyond kind of next week or next month, but we have big visions for our business that we want to achieve. And we often feel like we're not where we want to be at that point in time. That's just a natural thing for us as entrepreneurs. And it's what gets us out of bed every morning. In fact, it's what helped you start your business in the first place. So these attributes are as much positive, but I often say that people's attributes are double-edged swords no matter what it is, for better or for worse. And I guess the worst side of, let's call it that double-edged sword, is not actually realizing how far you've come, okay? This is, again, a big realization that I've had to check myself various times, and I'm going through it right now, is to kind of look back and say, well, look at where you are now. Right? Look at the things that you're dealing with now that you might feel challenging, and how do I get through this? And this is the first time I'm going through all this sort of stuff. But in 12 months time, you'll realize that that was insignificant and small, and you'll kind of laugh about it. The same way you should realize right now that what you were going through 3 months ago, 6 months ago, 12 months ago is also insignificant, and you were able to get through that with your own strength and knowledge and persistence. Right? And problem solving. And so that's, I guess, the point of this video, is to help you understand, or at least prompt you to realize how far you've come, right? Yes, that mountain is there, still ready to climb. We're never going to feel like we've made it. You know, even with the various successes I've had throughout my multiple businesses over the last 12, 13 years, I never actually feel like I've made it, because I'm always working on the next thing. Again, that double-edged sword of what keeps me going, keeps me up at night, gets me up in the morning, and helps me to improve and become better every single day. But if I can realize how far I've progressed, how far I've come, what I have actually achieved, and check in regularly on that, it really gives me a sense of calm and a sense of zen and gratification, which is really, really needed to keep the journey going, right? To actually just be able to settle, have a cup of coffee, and actually just realize what we've achieved for myself and with my consulting business, where I help e-commerce businesses grow to record revenue months. I've been doing that for the last 3 years. Realize how many people I've actually helped, right? And it's in the hundreds. I'm talking almost 250 up to this point, where I've actually helped that many people grow better businesses, grow better lives for themselves and their family. And that is extremely gratifying for me. That is literally the sole purpose about why I do what I do. It happens to pay well as well, right? Which obviously supports my family. So I feel good about that. And so if you can take every step of your journey, every little progress and progression, and take it for positive, that you are making progress and moving forward every single day, that will really help you sustain what you're currently doing to get to where you want to get to eventually. As long as you don't change the goalposts, every month or 2 months, you will get to where you're going, as long as you are taking daily action. And you won't realize the progress you make on a daily basis, which is why I'm saying you need to check in every, I would say month, but maybe like every quarter. So every 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, to see that progress. How much you've implemented, how much you've learned, how far your revenues and sales have come. Of course, it's not always about the end result in terms of the lagging metrics of sales and revenue. That's ultimately what we want, but you need to realize the goals that have been ticked in between as well, what is within your control. Because if you can't realize that, it's just always going to lead you to disappointment. Okay, you might think, yeah, if I get to 10K, 100K, $1 million per month, I will be where I'm looking at. But I promise you, there'll be other challenges and problems that kind of overshadow, let's call it that, success. And that's just through sheer experience that I can tell you that. So I just want to kind of, I guess, encourage you to check in and spend that time, as I say, grab a cup of coffee and just sit down, maybe with a partner or significant other, and just brainstorm and say, this is pretty good. Look how far we've come. Look at what I've achieved, right? Because if we're always looking to the top of the mountain and we're never there, we just don't know how far we've come. So to be able to look, when you're halfway up the mountain, look back at this previous stage, look back at base camp, when you started this whole thing from an idea and from a fire in your belly to try something different, try something new. I mean, I can only reflect on my own journey from a personal experience where I was in a corporate job. I read Tim Ferriss's The 4-Hour Work Week, and within a few weeks, my brother had read that as well. He actually recommended it to me, so he read it first. And we said, let's do something. Let's make something of ourselves. I don't want to be in a corporate job, even though I'd studied in the property industry for 4 years. He'd studied in marketing and finance and got a double degree or something like that and worked really hard for it. But in the end, we didn't really want that. And we were probably fortunate enough to realize that early enough on in our lives. I mean, it's never too late, don't get me wrong. But we were realizing that at the ages of sort of 22, 23, and Sam must have been, 25, 26, right? But people realize this all the time. Looking back, I kind of wish I sort of knew what I knew then when I was sort of 17, 18, 19, but it just wasn't the case. It just is what it is. And so if we look back there of we had the courage to go and do that. We created the support, right? It wasn't that we were fortunate by any means. I mean, we moved back in with our parents. We were lucky enough not to have, crazy debts and crazy obligations like kids and stuff like that at that point, but everyone's got their own circumstances. We would have had something that would have held us back if we created the excuse, don't get me wrong, right? But we didn't let that get in the way because the fire was so bright. The urge to do something different was so strong, right? The motivation to change. Okay, there's kind of two types of motivations. One is that you're so fed up with your circumstance to make a change, or you see something and you've had a taste of something so good that you actually want to make a change for the better, right? The more powerful one in my experience is that you're fed up with where your circumstances are and you want to try something different. And so that's what we had. It was just we're not going back. We don't care if we don't make any money for years and years and years. We're just not doing that. We're going to do something different, and we want to take control for ourselves and do something for ourselves. And so it was no matter what it took, that was our attitude. And as I say, you can have that at any point in time. And it did take years. We didn't pay ourselves for years. And still, 10, 12 years on, we didn't pay ourselves what we were kind of worth, but we were building this asset and building a business that was supporting others, supporting customers, supporting everybody. And as I say, I'm now able to impart my knowledge on other e-com brand founders, which is incredibly gratifying. I love it so much. And so the point with that is look back at where you were when you started. 6 months in, 12 months in, 2 years in, 5 years in, 10 years in. Everyone's at their own stage of their journey, but you just need to realize how far you've come. And you need to pat yourself on the back because no one else will do it, right? Not even in the genuine circumstance. You might have a really great partner or spouse or someone around you, business partner even, that can give you the congratulations. But especially when people aren't in your head, in your circle, they don't know what goes into the day to day, it's incredibly challenging because there's no trophies. There's no certificates. There's no rewards. It's just what are you doing the next day to generate sales? What are you doing the next day to progress? And so again, I just want you to, be prompted by this to sit back and take a minute, put it in your diary, schedule an hour, a couple of hours every quarter, every 6 months, every 12 months to just say, look how far I've come, and appreciate yourself and the work that you've done. Appreciate what you've set yourself up for. That is a really big part of, again, what makes you think and get excited about those next steps, the next month, the next 3 months, the next 6 months, 12 months. That's what's been really valuable for me. And I hope that will be valuable for you, because gratification and satisfaction and fulfillment and contentment are so, so, so important to us, as I say, sustaining what we do and getting joy in the day-to-day. And so this was a little bit different from a tactical video that I've done before, but I felt it as important, if not more important, that you get what's going on up in here straight first before you go and do the tactical stuff. Because that, again, is what I've had challenges with and suffered with for, I would say the entire time. I'm always working on what's going up in here because I know it impacts on the direct output of what I can produce in the practical sense of things. I would say 80 to 90% is all up in my mind, and it might be the same for you. So that's just a little reminder for you. Check in. Don't forget to check the view, from where you've been to obviously how far you've come. And then you can look at the mountaintop and obviously where you want to go and have newfound confidence and motivation to go ahead and do that in the period of time that you want to do it in. Okay. So always take stock, always check in with yourself, and always acknowledge how far you've come to make sure that you can sustain the next step. So that's what I wanted to cover through. Hope this was valuable for you. A different one, as I said, from what I normally do, but nonetheless as important, if not more important than all the practical stuff as well when it comes to running an e-commerce business. So thanks very much for being here. I really appreciate you watching to this point. If you liked it, I'd love a like, I'd love to subscribe, and look out for videos coming up as well. So thanks for that. I'll see you soon.